Hello, everyone. So we are live, far out. Hello. I hope there's someone out there. Basically, today is all about speaking about my novel, The Torrent. So my name is Dinuka McKenzie, and The Torrent is my debut novel. And it's basically a crime fiction book set in northern New South Wales. And it's a police procedural with a female protagonist. So so today is all about you getting the chance to ask me whatever you want about The Torrent, about this book, and let me know if you're around. Just say hello. I've got one already. Hi, Jessie. How you going? And hello, Jill. How are you? Basically, it's a chance to ask me any questions you might have about the book. Obviously, no spoilers. We're going to try and avoid all spoilers if we possibly can, because it is a crime fiction book after all. So, please say hello. Tell me where you're coming from. Tell me if you have got a drink with you, because I certainly do. Look, I've got this. What we prepared earlier. Actually, my husband prepared this earlier, so let me take a drink. So that was a Singapore Sling, which was, we had a cocktail kit over Christmas, and we're making use of that. So so let me know if you are drinking anything tonight, wherever you're coming from, let me know. So I am coming to you from our back shed, which is a shed that we've converted into a sort of a multi-purpose room. More important than that, I am coming to you from Darwin country, and I do want to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all First Nations people and elders from all nations across this country, wherever we're all watching this stream from. So hello, everyone, again. So I have got my mum there. That's Deepthi. Hi, Ami. She's saying hi, Nangi. So Nangi means younger daughter or rather younger sister in Sinhalese. So hello, Nangi. Hello. God, hello, Ami, rather, I should say. Hey, Victoria. And who we got? Oh, and I think, I've lost a few comments. But so before I start, I need to say a huge thank you to Better Reading for having me here and giving me this opportunity to chat to you about this novel. It's amazing. Sort of Better Reading have this amazing network of readers, and it's such a sort of privilege to be able to sort of have this time to connect with you all, especially in these sort of lingering COVID times where we still, have less of a chance to, I guess, meet with readers in real life. So, really thank you so much, Better Reading, for having me here. So basically, I thought I would sort of say a few things about this novel to start with, just let you know what it's about, and then we might go through some comments, and just please keep the comments coming through, and I'll try and get through as many questions as we can. So hang on, I'll just go through. I thought I saw someone saying what they're reading, but I've lost it now. What was it? Only drinking a cappuccino, Lynn says, being made by my hubby now. Okay, fair enough. Now, I guess it's, cappuccino time somewhere. And Bev says she's from Launceston having a peppermint tea. Thank you, Bev. Oh, and Meredith says she's, I lost it. Was having a coffee in Ballarat. There you go. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, as I said, I'm Dinuka McKenzie. I am a Sydney-based author, and The Torrent is my debut crime fiction novel. So basically, it is a police procedural, and it is based in northern New South Wales, and it follows my protagonist, Kate Miles, who is a very heavily pregnant detective in her last week of work before she goes on maternity leave. And so when we meet her, she's essentially in the middle of a case involving an armed holdup of a local fast food restaurant, and and it also involves sort of an assault of one of the employees in that restaurant. And essentially, she's working on that case when her boss basically diverts her into a separate case involving a death in floodwaters. So the town went through summer floods, and there's a number of fatalities during those floods, and basically she's asked to relook at one of those cases. And essentially all she's required to do is kind of just review that case file and write a quick report and close it off. But of course, Kate doesn't quite work that way. And she, if she's going to put her name to something, she needs to know that it's right. So that's where the story begins, and and the story follows her digging into that case. So that's where we're at. So I'm just going to answer a few of these questions because there's so many people who have come in. So here we go. Hello from Perth. Love all the Australian crime books of the last few years. The Torrent was great. Strong hardcover tea here. Oh, thank you, Anne. You've already read the Torrent. Thank you so much. Yeah, actually, if you've already read it, please let me know. That's fantastic if you've already read it. Mary Abbott says, LOL from Mary in Toowoomba. So, Mark Hobson, why do you think Australian crime, mystery, investigative drama has found such a large place recently with readers? Wow, that's a really good question. Okay, so let's dive straight into it. Look, I think there were always Australian crime fiction, but as you say, people, there's been this, I guess, this bit of a renaissance recently, and I think, obviously it's been led by, brilliant authors such as Jane Harper, who have really led the way of sort of Australian crime fiction. And it's, for whatever reason, there are certain books that just, sort of, seem to resonate with with a wide audience. And I think that that particular book, The Drive, from Jane Harper, which has obviously recently been made into a movie, yay, with Eric Bana, yay, has sort of all the things that are iconic, I guess, about Australia, which is, that kind of rural outback, that dry heat and those kind of iconic, I guess, Australian characters. So through that hook, people have, I guess, discovered Australian crime. And the more you discover something, you realize how wide-ranging it is, and you can get to know other Australian sort of crime writers. So I think, that's kind of led to that, through Jane Harper, we've all kind of, been able to benefit. So, yeah. And Meredith Griffin says, how exciting your first book, wishing you every success. Thank you so much, Meredith. It's been a bit of a whirlwind, to be perfectly honest. So the book came out on the 2nd of February, which was last Wednesday. It was the 2nd of the 2nd of 2022. So I've been told that apparently it's a very lucky date. So, so I'm pleased about that. And it was certainly very lucky for me because been very overwhelmed with all the messages and the sort of the support from the incredible writing community in Australia. So, so it's been incredible actually to, finally have sort of the book that's been in your head for so long, finally in sort of readers' hands, and to get actual sort of feedback, which is quite amazing. I think that's one of the things that I somehow, for some reason, thought that I wouldn't really be able to get all those messages because it's still sort of COVID and all the rest of it, and we're not really meeting readers, but just have been getting so many messages about the actual book. So that's been really cool. So, so I just thought I might let you know a little bit, I guess, about the inspiration for this book, just to let you know sort of, I guess, how it came about. And basically, I would say there was sort of like 3 things that sort of came together for this book. And that was very much, I guess, the initial idea of a flood, which was very much based on, I guess, the floods that happened in 2010-11 in northern New South Wales, southeast Queensland. where, you know, I don't know if anybody else can remember it, but those were the sort of the news images of sort of the Brisbane River flooding, and those huge floods at the time. And I guess watching that on the news, you really felt, oh, wow, the real power of these big rivers. And so then sort of years later, when I was kind of toying with the idea of a book, you know, those images came back to me, and sort of I started playing around with the idea of, oh, wouldn't a sort of a flood be a good place to hide a crime, or a good setting, or a natural disaster, wouldn't that be a good place as a setting for a crime? And so apart from the flood, then the second, I guess, major thing was very much the character of Kate. And that was, I mean, I think the genesis for Kate was very much, I guess, some of the issues that I myself was trying to process at the time. And that was that I was a mum with young children, trying to manage sort of family life with sort of work life, you know, and that tug of war that happens, and that juggle that sort of, I guess, women and mums have to go through, and working out how to manage those two sides of their lives. And so I thought, wow, that juggle is quite hard for me. So what would that look like for a police officer, you know, who not only has that struggle, but then you know, has to also, you know, works in a very challenging workplace. So, so that's kind of, I guess, the seeds of where Kate came about. And I think she is very much in this story trying to process a lot of the issues that I was trying to process at that time of my life, you know, which is sort of that work-life balance, you know, with young kids. And then I guess the element of the crime came about, which is, I guess, for me, based on very much my love of crime fiction. You know, that is very much my what's called comfort read. And so it wasn't, I think, surprising that when I started writing those, you know, that was what I you know, it was immediately sort of drawn to, was detective fiction. So those three kind of elements came together with the flood, the character of Kate, and the genre, to sort of many drafts later became the Torrent. So yeah, so that's how that came along. So back to some of these comments. Win Firth says, reading now and really enjoying it. Thank you so much. That's fantastic. Susan Ballard says, also love Candace Fox. I love Candace Fox. I don't know, it's probably not, it's actually probably behind the many copies of the Torrent back there. But yes, I love Candace Fox. She's such a fantastic, generous member of the writing community, and I have very much benefited from her knowledge over the years. When I was, one of the courses that I did was through the Australian Writers Centre, you know, how to write about murder, which was run by Candace, or, you know, online course put together by Candace. So she's incredibly generous writer, very generous with sharing her knowledge, and I've definitely benefited from her, and I love her books. Ilona, I'm sorry if I'm not saying that correctly. Ilona Young says, so looking forward to reading the Torrent. And Jonathan Butler, hello, Jono. Hi, Dinuka. Jono here in Nam with a peppermint tea. Why did you set your novel in Northern New South Wales? Excellent question, Jono. So just for context, Jono is part of our little debut book gang, or something, which we call ourselves, but we're all 2022 debuts. And Jono has a brilliant book out in next week, I think, or in a couple of weeks, The Boy in the Dress, which is out through Affirm Press. So definitely look out for that. But to answer your question, Jono, so it's set in Northern New South Wales because I guess, as I said, sort of the original inspiration was very much based on those floods in Northern New South Wales, southeast Queensland. And so my mind was immediately drawn to that area sort of when I was thinking about a setting for this story. but I was very wary of locating it in Queensland because I obviously hadn't lived in Queensland. And I knew I was taking on sort of a police procedural. And so I thought, okay, well, then I'm just complicating matters by sort of adding that added layer of legislative knowledge, which I would have to research, setting it in Queensland. So I did want to locate it south of the border. And I'd visited sort of that border region for various work projects over the years. And I particularly visited the Murwillumbah and Kondong area for one of my work projects when I was just starting to sort of put a few ideas down. And I thought, here, the Tweed River floods. So that's kind of how it came about at that particular location. But obviously, I was very sort of specific to located in a fictional town in that area. I definitely wanted the flexibility of a fictional town. I didn't want to locate it in a specific town because obviously, you really need to live in that area and really know the specifics of the town if you're going to base it on an actual town. So I very much wanted the flexibility of a fictional town. So it is a version of northern New South Wales, based on sort of my travels and imagination. So so that's how that kind of came about. So I will have to go through some more comments. So Christine Dudley says, I have just bought your book. So looking forward to read it. Oh, thank you, Christine. That's lovely of you. Thank you so much. And Mary Abbott says, yes, the flooding in Toowoomba was a wake-up call about climate change. Absolutely. Yes. So, it's interesting when I first sort of was writing this novel, which was, I started, I think, thinking about it and sort of starting to write about it back in sort of 2014, 15-ish. And then I started really, putting sort of drafts down probably in 2017. But at the time, there was sort of a very dry phase, but now, it's with the sort of the changes in climate and sort of the more extreme sort of weather events, there's flooding all over the place, so you're absolutely right, so I could have actually set it anywhere really, the way it's going. So so Bev Ralph says, look forward to reading your book, Love Crime Fiction, particularly many by great Australian authors. Yes, absolutely. There are so many great Australian writers, Australian crime fiction writers, and sort of a lot of them in my back bookshelf, actually. So so there's just so many at the moment. There's such great crime fiction around. So I'm just hoping to have my book next to all these other brilliant writers. So so I was going to say a little bit, I guess, about my main character. So Kate is very much, I guess, interesting in terms of the fact that obviously for people who read crime fiction, in particular detective fiction, I guess one of the very much the tropes of that genre is to have detectives who are mainly male, mainly childless, and from broken relationships, and if there are children in sort of the in the relationships, they're either sort of grown up or certainly in the background being looked after by someone else. So I guess for this story, I really wanted to center, everyday and relatable women right in the center of this book. And to me, Kate is very much, she's not a femme fatale. She's not a person who's, doing jiu-jitsu in the background or whatever. She is just a normal, relatable mum, and she's doing the best she can, managing sort of those very difficult, I guess managing both sides of her life, her work life and her, family life as well. And I wanted there to be, that to put that life right in the center, in the sense that, for women, excuse me, for women, when they finish work, you don't sort of, the work day doesn't kind of finish when you turn the laptop off. You kind of have to go home, and then there's a whole nother kind of job waiting for you, type thing. And for carers and for families, and not just women, I should say, for families who are dealing with young children, that's the life, you know. And I guess for a police officer in that situation, her job doesn't end, you know, once she leaves the police station. You know, it very much continues. So I really wanted to have that part of Kate's life very much, you know, at the center of the story, and really make that as part of the narrative as well, and really, you know, explore sort of both sides, you know, not just the mystery side, but actually her life, and sort of honor those women, you know, and sort of, because to me, they are the women I see, a version of those women, of that kind of women, you know, in my life. You know, there are sort of highly professionally competent women who are juggling a million things, and I see those kind of women every day. And so I wanted that kind of quiet strength celebrated in this kind of book, which doesn't usually tend to have those kind of characters, and certainly not as the lead characters, you know, in that sort of detective genre. So that was really important to me. And so, yes, so that was something that was really important to me. And also, a number of people, having read the Torrent, have commented to me about Jeff, who is Kate's husband. And he is a stay-at-home dad who is very supportive of her decisions, and you know, and is supporting, I guess, her decisions to sort of pursue her career, you know, and do her job, you know, because it's a I guess, a career that she has worked hard for over the years, and, you know, really built up over the years. And so she is, you know, she has this partner who's very supportive of that and looks after the kids. And again, in doing that, I wanted to kind of honor all those dads and all those partners, you know, who, you know, very much come to the table in all those kind of things, and take that, you know, take their share of the work, you know, without resentment or feeling emasculated, or, you know, or wanting sort of a present for looking after their kids, you know, or doing their domestic chores, you know, like, you know, they're there for their partner. And so again, people have commented about that, about, you know, that's not something you normally see in crime fiction, where, you know, you've got a relationship that's not fatally flawed, or, you know, you have a unit that's actually working together to sort of, you know, you know, to bring up their family. And that's not usually something you see in crime fiction, which usually is about the flawed, fatally flawed protagonist, and sort of the relationship breakdown. So so apparently I was doing something very radical in just, you know, writing about the people that are sort of, that I see in my life, and, you know, every day. But yeah, so in a genre that's just full of tropes, I sort of tried to put sort of, I guess, the people that I see in my life on there, you know, and it turns out that it was quite radical in this particular genre. So I wanted to go through, so, oh, Naomi's here, hello. Loving the Torrent, can't wait for the kids to go to bed so I can read more. Love how relatable Kate is. Yes, exactly. So that's exactly, yeah, what I was saying about Kate. You know, it was really important to me to have her as a very relatable character, and I think, you know, that also reflects, I guess, what I want for people to take away from this book as well, because, you know, one of the great, I guess, you know, loves, I guess, of my life in terms of reading has been the ability to always come back to a world, you know, and that's why, I mean, I actually quite love detective fiction series, and I love sort of long crime series where you can just keep coming back to that world and the characters, and you kind of grow with the characters, you know, and there's sort of a vast kind of range of characters, you know, sort of in the workplace, the family, all that kind of stuff, where you can sort of, and you can kind of go on their various different journeys as the books progress. So, you know, that's one of the great sort of things that I've always enjoyed sort of reading, you know, in, you know, sort of in my 20s and 30s. So now to kind of be able to kind of, you know, create that same world that people would want to come back to over and over again, that's kind of, you know, quite cool. And for those of you who have kind of bought the Torrent, you will see that there is a sneak peek of the next book in the series at the back of the Torrent. So there is another in the series that's coming up, and that's going to come out in 2023. So the next installment of Detective Kate Miles. So I hope, in the same way that I love going back to books, I hope the people who really love Kate will be able to keep going on that journey with Kate as well and her family. So yeah, so that was really good. So hello, and Padip's here. Hello, Padip. Hello, Dinuka. I love the read, and the front cover of the book is incredible. I know. I'm so pleased with that front cover. It's incredible because, people talk about sort of wanting their front cover, like hoping their front cover is going to be great. And this was the first version that they sent me, and I was like, oh my God, I love it. So there was no issue for me. I just loved it straight away. They just got everything that needed to be gotten about Kate. They had Kate, and then just that landscape, and then this incredible sort of they managed to have sort of raindrops falling across the page, which is incredible. So that was Darren Holt from the Harper Design Studio, who did that amazing design. So thank you very much. And I also should mention, that should mention about this book is that the path to publication with this book was in relation to the Banjo Prize, and I just wanted to give that a bit of a plug as well as part of this. So in 2020, I submitted the manuscript for this novel to the HarperCollins Australia Banjo Prize, which is a competition for unpublished commercial fiction manuscripts. And this amazing thing happened that they chose, my novel as the winner. So, the prize for that was publication, and obviously it came out this year. So, and I guess one of the things I just wanted to mention is if there are any aspiring sort of writers in this feed tonight, unpublished manuscript awards are just one of the great places of putting your work in. It's a way of getting sort of your work in front of actual, industry people to sort of get their eyes on your work, and it's just such a great way of, hopefully sort of, keep going on that path. Because I was, when I got the call for being shortlisted, I thought, wow, that's it. Yes, I've done it. That's all I wanted, because that to me was that affirmation from a industry person that I was on the manuscript had potential, and I was on the right path, and I could kind of keep developing it and take it forward. So, and even when you don't sort of get longlisted or shortlisted, you never know how close you were, so I just always think, unpublished manuscript awards and competitions are such a great way of, having a deadline for yourself, having a target for yourself in terms of trying to achieve something, and putting it in there. Who knows, you might get that sort of phone call from your fairy publisher, like I did. So, so it's an incredible thing to do, I think, if you can possibly do it. Okay, are there any more comments? Okay, here we go. Catherine Eyre, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, received my copy today. Looking forward to reading it. Yay to Australian crime genre, and thank God it's not the usual boring, sad male alcoholic detective whose marriage is breaking down. Yes. Well, that has been done quite a bit. So yes, it is good to read something different. Ray O says, hello. I just got your book today, and I'm so excited to read a book set in New South Wales. Yay, I know. So I think one of the great things about sort of new Australian crime fiction is that, it is being set in all different locations now, and not just sort of outback, So I think that's, one of the great things. So we can see sort of, all over the place. I think the recent one that also came out 1st of February, Wild Dogs by Michael Torrent, is set in Western Australia. So, there's books coming out set all over the place. Shelley Burr says the rain effect is amazing. I know, I love this cover. The rain effect is just so good. I don't know how they did it, but I love it. It's so good. Okay, so yeah, so I think we are almost getting to the end of our session. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for spending this half an hour with me. I know you probably got a lot of other things to do, but really appreciate you spending this time with me. So as I said, my name is Dinuka McKenzie. My debut novel is The Torrent, and it is out with all bookshops at the moment. It is out also on ebook and also on audiobook, which is quite amazing. So I'd love you to go and buy it if you can and read it. And if you do like it, it'd be amazing if you can if you can leave a review rather. Because it really does help us writers to get our books sort of out to more readers. The more people read a review or a little rating, that just really helps sort of the book read other readers. So and also, if you can't purchase it, please order it from your library, because that's another way that the books get out to readers. So that's quite amazing. So thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you spending this time with me. And cheers, everyone. Yeah, have a great night. Thanks again. Thank you.